So I'm having a thing go on with this fellow here. So that C202 that just passed, I thought he went under me. I was like, oh, no big deal. I was looking around me, checking the surroundings as I was passing through their front, while they were climbing past in their front line. And then I noticed something. So I decided to see what's in front of me. I check around me and I look down, and that dude's still fucking there, like right in front of me. He's the perfect zoom position, but I know what's gonna happen. So I bait him. I want him to break away, and I start to lower myself a little bit to try to make him think. And I also added like an extra flare roll to it to try to exaggerate it so he'll think I'm trying to come after him. So I just kind of lazily descend while keeping an eye on that bomber guy to the right, because that's the one that I was thinking that was the Swedish one that had the guns in the front. So that's the one I was really going to try to go after. So he ducked away instead of climbing. So that was that. I moved on and I was ready to take on that bomber. So I started climbing again, and then I started to look at the situation. So I decided to turn and break it off because he actually hasn't even got to drop his bombs yet. So I was just gonna let him be. So then this guy in chat is talking about the guy's cockpit was on fire. There's no way he could turn and place his shot. So I told him that that's actually, if the controls work, they're working. I've seen a lot of interviews and documentaries about this kind of about things. So I just let him know. I said it's not really that crazy. So I'm coming over the battle here, and I've noticed that I've had this feeling that there might still be someone up at my level, but I couldn't see them immediately. So I started focusing on going over, looking for targets of opportunity. So during this whole mess, I never even noticed that C205 guy was down there. I was looking at the Zero, the Q100, and other notables. I thought about going after the Zero for a moment, but then I thought, well, I can always just outrun him eventually anyway. So I just left that alone and decided to go after something that would pose a bit more of a threat. So I kept checking around, watching the situation as it was developing, so I decided to descend a little bit to get into a better position to spot stuff. I also considered that J26 because that's a Swedish P-51. That would be an issue, but he was also smoking to some degree. Looked like maybe it was an oil leak or something. Anyways, I saw one of them break off from the pack, and I was like, okay, I'll try going after that guy. And I was like, wait a minute, he's breaking off. He's just going straight towards our base. Like, he's literally in the perfect boom and zoom position. So I start to gradually go towards him because I'm thinking, I'm going to see what he's going to do, what this guy's going to do. I completely didn't even register that it was even related. And I saw that yak, so I went straight. So I wanted to get some distance between me and that yak so he can't do anything, which was a good move because the yak actually was coming towards me. I couldn't tell for sure. I wasn't thinking very straight about it. So he starts to split because he realizes that he's not going to catch up. So I immediately put it into a climb, prepared to engage the yak. And that was partly what my main intention was. So I start trying to go after this yak. A Focke-Wulf latches up onto him. And then I noticed something. Those guys below me, he shot down my teammate. That Focke-Wulf that just took out that yak begins making a passing run on that plane below me. And I'm like, let me observe this. So I'm going to go down and see if I can try to contribute, because you can't really see it because of the weird angles of the replay with the camera, but that guy's actually forming up with me a little bit. So I dive down a little bit to get some speed, to observe the situation. This guy's still heading towards our airfield. Like really, what's he doing? So I break off because now that he's turning, my teammate's gonna start engaging him, and so I just left it at that. And then I'm waiting for my teammate to do his pass. He does his pass, I roll up, and then I dedicate. And this is the only part that I was actually dedicated to any degree of diving on this guy. So that's my shot, and he's down. That's about 10 seconds, maybe, at best. 10 to 15 seconds. This guy, he gets so mad. He said beautiful name, and I said thanks because I wasn't sure I didn't know who he was talking to. And I didn't even realize that that was even the same guy that I shot. So I'm heading towards the airfield because I'm low on fuel at this point. I only brought 13 minutes of fuel, so I'm down to about 7 here. And I said thank you. And he says definitely not you. And I was like why? So apparently this guy got really mad because I shot him down. I said, well, I can help you practice if you want. I mean, and he's like, oh, it took you 5 minutes to shoot to come. I survived. I don't need it because I survived the full 5 minutes it took you to shoot me down. I'm like, what are you even talking about? And I realized it was the same guy, and he's like, you've been following me around this entire game and all kinds of other stuff. I'm like, no, it was only like 10 to 15 seconds. I never even actually did it, did anything to you. This dude. So I told him he's delusional to get over himself. Well, basically, I said it more. I said it politely. At the end, I said delusional because he just wouldn't let up, and I kind of got irritated. I was like, fuck this guy. It's his own fault why he was in that position at this point. He could have just tried to. He could have just left. Anyways, yeah, he wanted to talk mad shit. And so here you go. Here's the here's how it went with this situation. I came in, did a nice landing, did a little spin around on my wheels, did a little scissor right there to reduce the airspeed to get the landing in sooner. Put the wheels down. And I'll keep the chat up there for you for you to see that. Now, I welcomed the guy to come take a look so that he could see. But he was just too salty and too much in his head. Some people think an ass kicking just falls out of the sky sometimes. Like, look, if I was him, I wouldn't have even done that. Like he could have went straight for that fur ball and started heading towards his airfield, but instead he went to ours, and he put himself in a perfect position to get intercepted because anybody heading that way spotted him anyway. That's how I spotted him. Well, partially. So the rest of it just goes about him just whining until it ends. Yeah, there we go. And we won. I won. The team won.